Good afternoon, members of the press. We want to thank you for coming. We'll be having a statement read to us by Dr. W. Franklin Richardson, who is the chairman of the board of the Conference of National Black Churches, along with Ms. Jackie Burton, who's the president of the Conference of National Black Churches. I want to let them know who was here. We have representatives of Channel 5, our CBS affiliate, Channel 4, ABC affiliate, and Channel 2, our NBC affiliate. We have the one who's been recording, Darren, during the week, and we should be joined soon by the Post and Courier. So we have members of the denominations in the board of CNBC, and Dr. W. Franklin Richardson will come now with our statement as well as presenting those here with us, and that we are excited and elated to have welcomed them to the great city of Charleston, state of South Carolina, for what has been a transformative time. And so we now will present to you our leader and the chairman of the board, W. Franklin Richardson.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen of the press, and to my colleagues who join me, I'm joined this afternoon by several of the leaders, bishops, and denominational leaders of the various members of the African American, historically black denominations. And we're delighted to be here. And we have had a dynamic conference. We have been able to explore exchanges and relationships with our sister churches from other denominations, majority white denominations. We've had a wonderful dialogue and encounters, and we have made a commitment to go forward, to engage in this business of grace and reconciliation. We're committed to go forward and to implement programmatic initiatives, in addition to holding pilot consultations in 10 other cities where we will have exchanges. We also committed to go forward with the conversation with the Jewish community and with the Muslim community, hosted by the Conference of National Black Churches. We come from this gathering with a statement that I would like to read to you, and then our staff is going to make it available to you as well, distribute it to you. So, the Conference of National Black Churches releases this statement today at the conclusion of the 2015 National Consultation, The Healing of Our Nation, Race and Reconciliation, which focused on race. The statement calls the member churches of the 8 historically African American denominations, along with their sister denominations from predominantly white traditions, to intentionally engage in dialogue, worship, and ministry efforts together as a mechanism for reconciliation, to tear down the lingering vestiges of racism that are so pervasive in American society. In addition, the statement calls out the hateful rhetoric currently coming out of the presidential campaigns and urges African Americans to register and vote in 2016. According to the statement, there is a pernicious value gap between black and brown lives and the lives of our white brothers and sisters in America that demands an end to the sin of silence, apathy, and cultural co-opting of the contemporary church. The CNBC refuses to betray our legacy of spiritual transformation inextricably connected to social activism. We have throughout our history and continue to affirm the that scripture must be viewed through a hermeneutical lens of justice and liberation. Nearly 300 people have gathered in Charleston this week for the consultation, which has included speakers who addressed racial hatred, white privilege, poverty, gun violence, mass incarceration, and the criminal justice system, as well as racism in the church, and the road to reconciliation. Those gathered engaged in truth-telling and honest dialogue about how to root out institutional, individual, and internalized racism. A corporate worship service at Mother Emanuel AME Zion Church, where a massacre of 9 faithful worshipers in June by a white assailant who wanted to start a race war, set the tone for participants in the national consultation to begin a new era of cross-racial dialogue and to come up with new solutions for the pervasive impacts of racism in America. The CNBC has initiated a three-year initiative to cross racial dialogue on the local level in partnership with sister denominations to work with seminarians to come up with a new solution for ending racism and to continue to fight the systems that continue to perpetuate racism and inequality in America. That is just a glimpse of the statement. It is meant for a release. However, we have a full document that deals with each of the areas that we think are critical, including racial reconciliation and injustice throughout our communities. We're excited about the potential. This is a historic moment for us. It is the first time that the Conference of National Black Churches has had opportunity to host our brothers and sisters from predominantly white denominations. And it is our intention to work on this issue for the next 3 years through programmatic and persistent engagements that will open the door to dislodge the racial tension that is erupting in America at this hour, that we can bring a greater sense of civility to the language in the public square, and that we can begin to foster the great ideals of this country. I'm open to any questions that you may have.
Today being the 6-month anniversary to the day of Emmanuel, can you just tell me what your thoughts are on that 6 months later?
Yes. I think it's important to talk about what got us here. We are here because when those bullets rang out at Mother Emanuel in Charleston, they were felt in every African American church in this country. It invaded the space, the sacred space, the space that in the midst of all of the issues and struggles that we as black people go through in this country was invaded by hatred. What we say is that the hurts of the nation have come to the prayer room of the black church. And we say the hurts of the nation because we believe that the brokenness of America created the mentalities that shaped the values of Brother Root, who pulled the gun and shot our members. So our being here today is really a response to the pain that the collective church feels. It is not the pain of just Mother Emanuel. It is the pain that every black Christian feels. We have not felt this kind of pain since Martin Luther King's mother was killed at the organ at Ebenezer in Atlanta. So we had to respond. We could not simply stay at home and conduct business as usual. This circumstance has called us to action. But it's an action that must be grounded in who we are. We're not going to respond by the methods of other people. We're not going to use guns and knives and rowdiness to respond, because that would make us, the church, something other than we are. We are agents of change and transformation and reconciliation and justice. That's who we are. And we're going to respond to this terrible moment in our history from the standpoint of who we are. So what we thought was important was to call our sisters and brothers together and say, listen, we got a crisis. There's hurt on your side and there's hurt on our side. We've got to find a way to get to healing. We've got to take our wounds and use our wounds as therapy for healing. Henry Knowles, a great Yale theologian, wrote in his book, Wounded Healers. That is what we're called to be. And that's what we're trying to be in this conference.
I think you just answered my question, but how important has this week been and going forward, kind of with different nationalities and different denominations kind of coming together for this discussion?
Well, I think that was essential. We did not need a conversation among ourselves. We already knew what we thought. And we know we couldn't fix it among ourselves if there was any potential to fix it, the potential to fix it was in our capacity to talk to our other brothers and sisters of other races. And that's the only fix that can come. The fix has got to come from cross dialogue. And so for us, it was an important engagement that gets us down the road to healing, to sit with our brothers and sisters who are white. And they had opportunities as well to share their pain, to share how some of them have come to grips with privilege, white privilege. While they confess that many of the white community have not yet acknowledged white privilege. They don't see it. Sometimes the mean things you hear people say on the streets about people calling for their rights and calling for justice, most of the time, those things that seem to jar you most come out of a place of ignorance. People don't know. They don't know. So one of the things we've been calm about the King tradition is that we don't respond to every nasty thing said to us or every mean action said to us, because we know that people come out of a place of ignorance and the lack of knowledge. If we can share knowledge, if we can share with them where we come from, and they share with us where they come from, we can find a common ground upon which we can build a better world.
And you said that part of this will be a 3-year initiative. Can you elaborate why 3 years, what's in store? And
well, it may be more than that, but we have assigned 3 years because we know it's not a quick task. We understood when we came here that this was only a small step towards rectifying what's wrong. And so we know that this is not something that can happen with a meeting in Charleston for 3 days. But it becomes ground zero of us awakening the nation and responding. So what we do here is we have begun to put in place, for instance, the 10 city dialogues, regional dialogues. We will come back together in an annual meeting in December of next year. We will also begin a planning procedure where our staff will begin to look at what happened at this conference and from it develop a strategic plan for us to act. We will also find ways to talk to other denominations and invite them to the table. We're also going to reach into the Jewish community, non-Christians, as well as Muslims, and on the journey find opportunity to engage that dialogue. We feel that racism, the perpetuation of racism, continues to polarize us from each other. And ultimately, all of us are hurt, and America is hurt. And the only way we're going to get America back on the right track is we got to deal with this racism. We cannot allow those who are vendors of hate to have the only voice.
That's right.
We refuse to let the hate mongers and the insulters have all the press. America has another side. There are a lot of good people in America who resent people who stand up and say nasty things about other people and who spew hatred. And so we've got to make sure the church cannot afford to be silent. There is a sin in the silence of the church. And whether the church is white or black, it can no longer be silent because this nation is on the verge of a crisis. So we have no choice.
No, I just have one more question. I'm sorry. Can you tell us maybe one or two positive things that you've noticed that's come out of the past 6 months that you guys have noticed together? Just some good positive things.
I think first of all we're here. We're here. But also I think other conversations that begin to talk, and some of the things I've heard going on in Charleston, some of the meetings that are going on, some of the reaches people are making in Charleston and across America. People have paid attention to what happened in Charleston. It also shined a light on the original sin of America, which is slavery. That light didn't get shined. Nobody shining that light. The death of the 9 brought light to the slave journey, the original sin of America. Because 40% of the African Americans who've come into this country, their ancestors came by way of the Charleston port. So it showed light on things that we walked over and trampled over. And hopefully it will continue to illuminate. I think I want to also add in this moment that we recognize the Black Lives Matters movement. And we are in line with our children who are standing up in this era and saying that we are not going to be trampled on any longer. That's right. And we refute those who want to dismiss them, because they cannot dismiss them without dismissing us. That's right. That's right. And they are speaking out of their pain. That's right. And out of their frustration. Right. And we are in line with them. We know, some people say, well, all lives matter. Yeah, all lives matter, but you don't have to worry about all lives. If you walk on a street and a neighborhood, it's a good neighborhood, and a house is on fire, they don't stop and put the water out on all the houses in the neighborhood. They put the water out in the house that's on fire, because if you get the house on fire, all the other houses will be safe. But if you keep letting the house on fire burn, ultimately the whole neighborhood's gonna burn up. So it is Black Lives Matter. That's right. That's the original sin of America, that black lives have not mattered. Right. And we have empty trees that testify to the fact that black lives don't matter. We have jails full of bodies that black lives don't matter. And we have police departments that have authorized the extinction of black lives and underscore black lives. So black lives are on fire. And we have got to put the fire out. And we celebrate the courage and the tenacity of our young people who are taking up their own initiative in a new era. They're in an age of technology, an age of different era than Martin Luther King, but it's the same spirit. That's right. It's the same spirit of Martin Luther King. And he was not celebrated and accepted and was not a martyr until he died.
You may have touched on this. Besides the church, will y'all be, seeking a community involvement, maybe organizations also to kind of help bring
together? We are drawn together by the central message of Jesus Christ. That's the core. We don't want this to. One of the things that happened in our meeting was we invited Alan Bozak, who is a South African activist, theologian now in this country. And one of the things we asked for was his insights on how you get to reconciliation. And he said one of the things that happened in South Africa was that the South Africans allowed the political agenda to overtake the Christian agenda, even though they talk the same language. But the Christian agenda is grounded in the tradition and the gospel and life of Jesus Christ, whereas the other agendas are grounded in political expediency and economic opportunity. So we don't want the high loftiness of our movement to be lowered to a political or a good feeling. It is mandated, our movement is mandated by the gospel of Jesus Christ. That's what drives us, is the gospel of Jesus Christ. Any other questions?
I guess while we're here a week away from Christmas, kind of the time of year, kind of how this kind of, not saying this embodies what you are doing, but kind of how this all kind of comes together with kind of what next week symbolizes.
Well, Advent means that we live in a posture, a constant, perpetual posture of expectation. That's what it means. To be an Advent means that we're always looking for God to show up, like Simeon in the temple. We are always in a perpetual position of expectation. And that's what drives us, because our existential experiences would be discouraged us. Those 9 people who died, their families, they lived in an advent, in an expectation. And it is in that expectation that things are going to get better, that they have the capacity to forgive. That's right. They have the capacity to forgive because they are living in this perpetual expectation that God is going to come through, and that ultimately right is going to win, and justice is going to prevail. And if you can hold on to that, you can do the right thing even in a dark and difficult moment.
Yes, sir.
So Advent is a good time for us because it makes us know that God is still God and that God is on the way to deliver us to be who we have been called to be as human beings.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Well done.